You can ask a question.
Hi, Lincoln. How are you?
I am doing very well. Thanks for asking. I hope you're doing well today.
I am. So my question has to do with what you just taught, which is to focus down into the awareness, right? A lot of the teachers that I've been hearing lately reverse that, and they say fall back and don't focus down, but unfocus, defocus. How come there's a difference in your teaching and some of their teaching?
Can you explain to me what you mean by focus down? Because I don't think I use those exact words. So I just want to be clear about how you're understanding this with me.
Sure. So my interpretation is focusing in on, or almost a contraction of focusing into awareness,
Yes. Okay.
as opposed to what these other ones are saying. Uh, Spira comes to mind, and he says defocus, reverse the process, basically, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, I understand. Okay. So essentially, whatever you're aware of, you're going to understand more about. A lot of teachers, in my experience, they teach you to focus on these qualities of emptiness, silence, and stillness, like I guided you to do at the beginning of the meditation today, like the higher self guided you to do when it started channeling. So we focus on these qualities being beyond the body, being spacious, and we notice ourselves experiencing more of those qualities. So whatever we're aware of, we experience more of. And it's really as simple and basic as that. Now, the problem that we have sometimes is we don't really know what we are. So I can look at space and I can make my whole reality empty space, like a void state. If I meditate long enough on this quality of empty, expanded space, everything just becomes that. I feel like I lose my physical body. I no longer see color and light. I'm going to mute some people here. Okay. I no longer see my physical body. I no longer feel the shape and density of my physical body. I create a perceptual reality of only space. Okay, so I can go into that void state, right? Now, in that experience, I, as consciousness, became aware of some form inside my perception, which is silence or stillness or emptiness. And I focused completely on it. And being that I'm God, I created more of it. And I created so much of it, so much of this emptiness, that everything else vanished and all that was there was emptiness. Now, if I don't know that I did it, if I don't know that my awareness is what's creating this and perceiving this, I will still experience a layer of self and other. I will feel like I am having the void experience. I am witnessing this. There'll be a very subtle sensation of being self and other. Okay, so whatever we focus on, we create more of. Our creative energy is that invisible potential energy. It automatically goes towards what we desire, what we intend, what we will. So if I'm focusing on emptiness, I'm intending to perceive more emptiness, and my energy is willing more emptiness to appear in my reality. So I'm actually creating it. In this teaching today, we were guided to focus on that which is focusing. We were told to become aware of the I, like the I am aware of the I am. So that would reference, for example, Ramana Maharshi's teachings, right? The I becoming aware of itself. So being aware of space is a quality, and it's silent and it's still, and it's the opposite of forms, it's emptiness, but it's still something existing. It's still something in the universe, in my perception. So if we want to know who we are, we should try to reverse our focus, not looking outward and not diffusing it into space, but reverse it and look back at what is looking. It's like the eye trying to see the eye. When we do this, we actually go into a state of pure consciousness. And in my experience, everything becomes this light of consciousness in which there's no longer a self or another. So if I focus on empty space, there's still a subtle feeling of space and me being different than space. But if the I becomes aware of the I, that self-reflective part that notices self and other, that completely vanishes. So in my own experience, I can become aware of space and I feel free and I feel empty. And I can say the nature of everything is emptiness. And it's like, yeah, emptiness is something in existence, but what's beyond existence? Who's observing existence? So I'd want to go one level deeper than trying just to find peace in my reality. I'd want to find myself in my reality. And the closest I can get to that is trying to look at who is looking, right? Trying to find the consciousness that is being conscious right now. Okay. Does that help?
Okay. That I understand that perspective. I'm not sure it really addresses what their understanding is, and maybe you really can't speak to what their
Yeah, I
understanding
actually
is.
never studied Rupert Spira. I know his picture, but I don't know anything he's ever said.
Yeah.
I don't know these other teachers because I studied for 2.5 or 3 years when I was in college, and then I stopped studying because I just wanted to perceive directly. I realized that maybe we're using different words to describe the same thing. Maybe we're even describing different things. I don't know. The best I can do is try to tell you how I understand my reality using the vocabulary that I use.
Sure.
And if I study them, yeah, I could probably do a better job of comparing, but I can
What
just tell you my experience and how it is.
One more question, if I may. Another thing that is taught is to focus not on the content of your experience, the stuff that's shiny, but instead the looker, the watcher, the observer, the consciousness. But the interesting thing is, at least for me, is I love shiny stuff. I love content. I love a beautiful blue sky, and I love watching babies laugh, and I love little kittens running around. That seems more enjoyable to me than stopping all of that, turning around and looking at the blank emptiness of consciousness. So am I missing something, or?
So again, my experience is that whatever we become aware of, we perceive more of. So if I'm going to look at that which does not move, my reality feels still. If I perceive that which moves, my reality becomes very active, very alive. I think that one of the problems we have is we still separate form from formless, and both of those from the creator, from
Ah,
consciousness itself. So if
sure.
I think
Okay.
that I have to become aware only of the witness, and that means negating everything else as being God, then I'm not going to have a full experience.
Yeah.
So in my journey, I love laughing babies, right? I love the blue sky. I love kittens. I love all that. And I can feel all of that. And I see that as God, just as the same as I see emptiness and space and silence as God.
Got it.
So if a laughing baby or a baby pops up, I let myself have the experience without even needing to give myself permission. There's a natural, automatic, spontaneous interaction that happens because a deep part of me doesn't separate form from God.
Okay.
I know that there's a creative source. I call it God, but not in any religious context. I just use the Judeo-Christian word that's
Mm,
common in English. So God or source or Atma, whatever you want to call it, that that aspect of creation that's beyond all form, I perceive as also being all form. So therefore, I don't create a suffering experience when I'm having the forms in pure in my reality. When it's
got it.
time to meditate, I go to the formless. When it's time to be in the world, I go to the world. And for me, there's no division trying to push away the world or trying to call the world an undesirable place. I think one of the problems that we see in spirituality sometimes is the mind still divides the world. And you'll hear teachings like the world is suffering. It's like, whoa, like that's not for me. Like, I think the world's blissful. Like, I love bliss. And when I experience suffering, I still am holding on to ignorance somehow. My concept is still flawed in some way. Why? Because I feel myself pushing against life. If I'm suffering, I'm resisting just letting things be what they are. So for me, suffering is my resistance to the present moment. And if I allow the present moment to be what it is, it's blissful. Every color adds more bliss. Every sound adds more bliss, right? There's a feeling of aliveness that is blissful. And if I don't block it with concepts of good and bad and right and wrong, I get to experience that bliss directly.